Hello, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm a B2B lead and Hyperskill. And today we're going to talk about AI engineers and what defines an AI engineer in 2026. I got my notes and I think I prepared. So, but in any case, just in case of any pauses, just no worries. I'm just trying to find the right place to continue. So yeah, many of you came here to learn about AI engineers and what is AI engineer, who is that? And I believe that the main question is not actually who is that, but should you become an AI engineer, right? Or at least is it something that you should explore? And within the next 30 minutes, I'll try to explain you who is this person, what they usually do, and what they do not do. And I'll try to help you to find out whether it's like it fits your needs or not. So first of all, there might be many reasons why you decided to visit this webinar. I mean, you want to get the promotion, you're exploring something new, your company wants to become AI native, or you want to build AI products, blah, blah, blah. And all these reasons are quite important because it shows your motivation. And yeah, and the global reason is that it seems like AI is everywhere. Every company, every product claims to have it. Every investor wants their companies to be AI native. And all this hype is usually pretty common for every new technology that pop-ups on the market. And what we could see and observe based on our previous experience with blockchain, with big data, with dot-com boom that we had, they all have the similar path. So basically, this is something that happens. Then technology develops really fast, and more people trying to apply this in their lives just because it seems like the new technology will solve all the problems they have, or at least in the companies they run. And after like experiments, many people realize that it's not as easy as it's actually proposed or as it's discussed. And this is the moment when people and companies they realize that this is something that you need to not just to embed. You need to learn this. You need to find out how it actually works. You need to find out how to control this, how to make it predictable. And yeah, I believe that in terms of AI, we are kind of here. So we are on stage two. It's I guess it's many people call this bubble. I don't think that it's a bubble right now, but the hype is so huge. Yeah. And yeah, as I mentioned before, the same happened with different technologies, with blockchain. When just 5 years ago, we were like obsessed with blockchain, and companies tried to embed this in any industry, like in supply chains, in voice systems. Even someone tried to build a toothbrush with a blockchain that actually gathers the data of how you brush your tooth. And another like good example is blockchain sneakers. It's basically the sneakers that get the data how you run, and then they somehow work with the data and provide you insights. But basically, you don't need blockchain to find out whether you are a good runner or not. And the same happened with big data. Many companies realized they could actually work with the data they have internally. They tried to categorize this data to make a better decision. But then they realized that it's not so easy to work with such a big amount of data, and it's not so easy to make a better decisions because there are like two different processes that have to be established, and not all the companies they have enough resources to establish this process. And of course, the dot-com boom. So like 20 years ago, it's we observed that every company actually strived to have a web domain. And the good part that if you have a web domain or a .com domain, it seemed like investors will be more interested in your project or your company, and that's true. And that's why we observed that there were many tons of companies, tons of products that developed or that had their own domain, but in the end, it didn't make any sense for them. So yeah, and the most funny part about this is the car displays. I like this very much, how it develops right now. And yeah, so like just like 10 years ago, we saw that cars had simple physical controls. Then manufacturers introduced small screens, then touch screen displays just to put more information there. And the screens become bigger and bigger. Eventually, the screen started replacing almost everything. So basically, you control every part of your car inside this screen. And this is fun. This is really nice idea. But in fact, it started distracting drivers from the road because you don't have this like touch or any feelings when you touch something, just like a plain screen. When you need to not just like intuitively find something, you need to look at the screen to find something because otherwise it's not possible. And it started to distract you from the road, and which is most important part. I believe if you run in the car, you know that most of your time you need to spend like just looking at the road and the signals. But yeah, and now what we see that many manufacturers, auto manufacturers, they started to remove these big screens because it doesn't make any sense. It's like creates more friction. And the same happens with AI, with blockchain, and any new technology. So now let's talk about the AI engineer and why actually we need this person. So basically, it seems like now everyone could create their own product with an AI. We have Cloudbot, Cloud Code, ChatGPT, Codex, any Grok we have. Also, we have like Cursor, all the stuff that lets you create literally anything, just is per your imagination. But the thing is that once you created something, it doesn't mean that it's ready for production. Because ask yourself, when you create something with an AI, do you understand each part of your product? And can you predict how the product will behave in different situations? If the answer is no, so probably you would need to dive deeper, and probably there is like a place where AI engineering skills will help you. So as I mentioned, you could create the product, and the hardest part is that once you created something and you want to implement this inside the company, you need to make it scalable, reliable, secure, and cost effective. And also you need to monitor how it performs and prepare this for potential outages and etc. And to actually close this gap, usually AI engineers appeared just to help to put the product from the like initial launch to the production in different companies that want to scale this further. And before we continue with AI engineer, I would like to show you some of the notes from market demand. We analyzed around 30,000 of job postings about AI engineering and ML and all these things. And what we noticed that the huge growth for the last few years, the growth rate was like 300%. And around the globe, it's like more than 1 million job opportunities. 70% of them are in United States. And regarding the salaries, we could observe that average salary or median salary is a bit higher than like compared to classical engineer. It's not and it's not just because there is like a big hype about AI engineer and AI itself. The reason for that is that even considering that every person now, even without like technical skill, they could build something with AI, it's still for companies quite difficult to find the person with particular skills to put this AI inside the company infrastructure and develop further. And this kind of very specific skills, which are not common to classical engineers, to any other engineers. And basically this kind of skills which you need to develop if you want to become an AI engineer. And we're going to talk about what kind of skills you need later. And regarding this industries, I don't want to go deeper, but basically every industry hires AI engineers, and the difference is pretty clear. So if you hire an engineer for like healthcare, definitely you expect this engineer to work with drugs and work with medical coding. If you're like an engineer and you're looking for the job in SaaS enterprise software, I believe you noticed that literally every company in like every CRM now has its like embedded AI agent, and you don't need to find to try to find the information across the website. You just chat this AI agent, and the agent gives you information about the product, answers your questions, helps you to adjust something, and basically this was also built by engineers, and this is called RAC, and we're going to talk about this also later. So, what we should understand about the engineers, that there are like many ways how it can be described. It's AI first engineer, it can be just AI engineer, or it can be applied engineer. In most cases, they are quite similar, but in particular, those are a bit different. But you need to understand that the core position, or I mean, the core name of this position is something like AI first engineer. And this is the person who actually builds and deploys production applications and implements RAG that I mentioned before. It integrates AI models into existing products and workflows, optimize models, and set up evaluations. We do also have these traditional ML engineers. They mostly work with classical ML models, so they don't build actually something, but they develop the current models and fine-tune them, whatever. And we also have this AI support engineers. They are more about providing the enough resources for engineers to build these products, because you know that if you work with an AI, probably you heard about tokens and all these things. And to make the model cost effective and give the model enough resources, GPUs to be scalable, we definitely need some kind of software and hardware to have in place. And if you would look or check the average description for AI engineer position, you would find something like you reduce operational costs through automation, enhance products with AI capabilities, scale a system to handle real production traffic, etc., etc., etc. Sounds complex, but in the like, if we would look closer, it seems like the company still looking for something not very complex, kind of build a RAG system over our knowledge base, integrated with Zendesk, API deployed to AWS with Docker and monitoring. So it seems like, even considering that we have so much information about AI, how it could improve their lives on a practical side, there are not so many places where companies understand how it can be applied. So that's why it all starts with RAGs. So if you know how to build RAGs and make it predictable and scalable, that's a good point for you. And here's like AI engineer starter pack. You could just try to play bingo and find what kind of skills you already have, what kind of languages you already have, and what's missing. Yeah, just like in a nutshell, RAG is one of the most demand skills. I mean, it's not actually a skill; it's mostly about like system. But RAGs in demands PyTorch, TensorFlow, Python, LangChain, Docker, Kubernetes, AWS. That's kind of words, skills, languages that you would find literally in any description of a engineer position. And yeah, there are like different levels by complexity, how to work with AI. So the easiest way is you just like ask something, ChatGPT, for example. It sends the data to LLM via API, and then you got the response from AI. It's pretty simple. I believe that everyone here does this. And the next level is actually the RAG. The RAG system is a bit different because you don't only send something to LLM, you also connect this LLM to different systems. For example, like a while ago, we built a product where you ask LLM to find particular clients in particular industry based on the description that you give. And then LLM connects to different services. It connects to LinkedIn, Apollo, and gathers all this information. And after that, once the information is gathered, it also connects to your Gmail account, for example, and sends out this data in a very structured way. And this is how actually RAG system works. So it works not only like with input and output, but with many, many other different tools. And agents, basically, this is something that also built on top of RAGs. But the most difficult part about agents that you can have like 10 RAG systems in the same place, and you have like you need to control all of them, and depending on the complexity of your task, the whole system works in the way when it decides what kind of RAG has to be activated. Yeah, and you also need to track and monitor this because it's all about like tokens, and you pay as you go, and so you want to make it more efficient and pay less, and it's more about like prompting, because depending on the prompt style and how you prompt the model, the output output will vary. So it's like a bit complex than RAG system, but not as complex as it could be. Yeah, and here we could find the average engineer responsibilities. So it's about prompt testing, as I mentioned before. It's evaluation data sets, iterating on the prompt, rolling out to users, because you need to work with users and see how the model behavior. So we know that AI currently is still hallucinates, so it may send you or tell you something that you do not expect. And this is the hardest part about AI currently. So you have to, even considering this is not like very predictable, you need to build the system that will limit this AI to be predictable. And also you need to check for the new models, because if they are more like cost efficient, you could connect them instead of your current model, and etc. So now let's talk about transferring. So let's say you're a backend engineer and you want to roll into AI engineering. And let's say that you have like a set of skills that we mentioned before, and let's see what you need to learn. So if you like Python or TypeScript, you know Python or TypeScript or any other language, you know how API works, you know how to test API, you know how to work with Docker, with AWS, and etc. So basically, there are a few things that you need to learn or to study to become an AI engineer, and they are on the right side. So it's more about LLM APIs. You need to learn more about OpenAI, Anthropic, and etc. You need to learn prompt engineering, because prompt engineering is the most efficient part in order to make your model more efficient and make your model more cost effective, because companies, they really value the effectiveness, so they don't want to really that's all about risk reward. So you need to build the model and application that will do its job, but it will pay off all the costs that you have. You need to learn the RAG patterns, because they're pretty different. Even what I described before, it's like only one case, but depending on the company infrastructure or depending on the task that you're trying to solve, the RAG patterns can vary. The same for agent patterns. Yeah, it's also about learning PyTorch, because most of the AI engineers, they work with PyTorch as a main skill. And here is an example of real products that we actually learn how to build. And the first one is just a RAG chatbot. Basically, I described this like a few slides before. This is something where you ask the chatbot to provide you some information or ask the question, and chatbot gathers all the information across internal user base, not user base, but maybe user base, across the internal database of the company, and provides you an answer. That's pretty simple from the technology perspective, but this is where like This part is common for literally every company that tries to implement some kind of AI solutions. It all starts from RAG. And RAG is I believe that one of the most common things that you will start working on being on an AI engineer position. The second one is AI agent with tool use. Basically, it's also what I described before. So you build an agent that actually collects information from different sources, and also it executes the flow that was built by this AI agent. So basically, you want to ask this agent to find who are your top spenders in the system, and you want to send them let's say the personal letter via email. So you need to go to, for example, Supabase or any other base, gather this information. You need to enrich this data. If you have the client email, for example, you need to find all the information about this client, the company name, the first name, second name. Then after you enrich the data, you want to like make an email and then send it. And this is how agents work actually. And it all starts from the simple prompt. So you just ask agent, you build the agent and ask the agent like, hey, can you do this, this, and this? And that's it. The agent will activate the whole workflow. And basically, this is what we are educating in our AI engineering bootcamp. It's a 10-week, very intensive program, around 10 hours per week. You will build around 10 projects throughout this course, but maybe less depending on the speed and your interest. We do also have the webinars, just like this webinar. You will also have more webinars about different parts of AI engineering. We also have the live consultations and live sessions with our engineers who are deeply involved in AI engineering activities across different companies. And we do our support via Discord and Slack. You will have also expert mentorship and the code reviews. So whatever you build and whatever task you've done, it will be reviewed by our engineer. And you also got 1 year experience, 1 year full access to Hyperskill platform. And you could explore more than 50 courses on this platform. It will be free. It's also mentioned the stack that we're going to work on. It's Open AI API, Fast API, Docker, etc., etc. But you don't need to worry about tokens. It will be provided for free, and you don't need to buy something. You just buy the bootcamp course. And this program is not for everyone. I just want to warn you, if you think that to become an AI engineer is quite easy, it's not true. Basically, what I described about RAGs and AI tools, yeah, you can learn this just like by reading something. But what you want to learn is that how to build this AI intuition, intuition in terms of what you need to do to make this AI agent or to make your AI job better, in a more efficient way, productively. So please do not join if you cannot dedicate 20 hours per week. You expect easy learning, or you're not ready to solve problems independently, because even considering we are working like in teams, all the tasks you will do independently. So you need to pay attention to this. And working with an AI requires serious effort. Sometimes you will need to break your brain a little, yes, because we provide kind of tasks that are not very easy to understand from the first attempt. And from the other side, this program is not only about skills, it's about building engineering intuition, because participants will live with real systems, practical implementation, deep level projects, and that knowledge stays with you. So it's like just swimming or riding the bicycle. Once you learn this in the way that we educate you, you will not forget about this. And that's pretty it from my side. Thank you for your attention. Just like the final words, if you would join us within the next 3 days and apply the promo code AI Webinar 20, you will get extra one-to-one session with our mentor engineer. She's very good. And You can ask any question you have, whether you're working on your own product or you want to build something inside your company. Our engineer will cover all the questions, and yeah, join us. Thanks so much.